My name is Leila Carson, I'm 26. And the day my entire family laughed in my face for leaving our perfect, prestigious generational business, I realized something painful. Every one of them saw me as a spoiled worker bee, not a daughter. Before I tell you how my mom's hidden safe revealed the truth about why I was the only one she trusted, hit subscribe. Because you're not ready for how deep this cut runs. My family owns Carson and Sons, a construction and real estate empire started by my grandfather and passed down like a crown. Everyone always assumed I'd fall in line and take my place in the swarm, my older brothers, Marcus and Ryan, running deals. Dad shaking hands with big shots. And me, the baby who handled scheduling, payroll, and whatever scraps they tossed my way. It didn't matter that I put in more hours than anyone. It didn't matter that I had ideas they ignored until one of my brothers repeated them. It didn't matter that clients trusted me more than Marcus, who barely showed up sober, or Ryan, who treated employees like robots. To them, I was supposed to smile, type fast, get coffee, and be grateful. And for a long time, I was. Not because of them. Because of Mom. Mom was the quiet backbone of the company, a financial genius hidden behind the scenes. People underestimated her because she didn't speak much, didn't take credit, didn't force herself into meetings. But when I was a kid, she'd bring home spreadsheets and teach me how to read numbers like they were languages. Numbers don't lie, Lila, she'd say, tapping her pencil on a column. People do, but numbers? They always tell you the truth. I didn't realize how important that lesson would become. When Mom died 2 years ago, an aneurysm out of nowhere, everything in the business shifted. Dad became harsher. My brothers got greedy. And the one person who protected me was gone. The first blow came at her funeral reception of all places. An investor cornered Dad and said, "Your wife handled the books, right? Who'll manage them now?" Dad answered without hesitation, "Ryan will take over that. Leila can help him with the busy work. Busy work." Ryan, who once thought liquid assets, or drinks, was taking over Mom's role. Mom's death didn't just break me. It broke the company's foundation. Months later, I realized staying there was slowly draining every ounce of joy I had left. So I made a terrifying but necessary decision. I quit. Not quietly, not politely. Not after another round of being dismissed like a secretary no one paid enough for. I stood up in the middle of a Carson and Sons board meeting and said, "I'm done letting all of you take credit for everything I do. I'm leaving the company." Silence. Then Marcus laughed, actually laughed, a full-throated, arrogant cackle. Ryan smirked. "Good luck surviving without the family, Lila." Dad didn't even look shocked. "You'll be back when you realize the world doesn't pay for tantrums." Everyone stared at me like I was a toddler dropping her ice cream. No one asked why. No one thanked me for years of work. No one cared. I walked out shaking, not because I regretted it, but because their reaction told me everything I needed to know. I wasn't the daughter, I was labor. And my mom was no longer here to shield me. For the next year, I tried building something on my own. I freelanced, worked small business contracts, did bookkeeping for local shops. I made decent money, but my family acted like I'd thrown myself into a dumpster. At Thanksgiving, Marcus joked loudly. "Hope Layla enjoyed her year-long internship at Broke and Lonely LLC." Everyone laughed. Dad leaned across the table with his wine glass. "You know, sweetheart, your mother would have wanted you to stay with the family. She'd hate what you're doing." That hit like a punch. "She'd want me happy," I snapped. "Happy?" Ryan scoffed. "You think happiness pays bills?" I stood up with my plate. "I'm not having this conversation." Dad waved a hand. "You're being dramatic. Sit down." "Actually," I said, voice shaking, "I'm leaving." And that was the last time I saw any of them until everything fell apart. It started with a lawyer calling me, a woman named Naomi Briggs. "Miss Carson," she said, "I represent your mother's estate. Your father recently attempted to access a private safe belonging to your mother. He was unsuccessful." I frowned. "Her safe?" "I didn't know she had one." "That's the issue," Naomi said. "According to the file, you're the only person authorized to open it." My heart thudded. "Why me?" "That," she said gently, "is what your mother wanted you to find out." I felt dizzy. "Where is it?" "In your parents' home," she said. The estate requires you to be present to open it. Going back into that house felt like preparing for battle. But something inside me, some instinct, knew this mattered. Knew Mom left it specifically for me. The next morning, I drove to my childhood home. Dad's truck was in the driveway. So was Ryan's Benz. I almost turned around, but then Naomi opened the door and waved me in. "Ready?" she asked softly. I wasn't, but I nodded. Dad stood in the hallway, arms crossed, glaring at me like I ruined the carpet just by existing. "About time," he said. "Let's get this over with." Then he led us to Mom's study, a room she kept locked even from him. The safe was behind one of her giant framed prints, and when I entered the code Naomi handed me, the safe clicked open. Dad leaned in, impatient. Finally. But the moment I looked inside, my breath caught. Because on top of a stack of files was an envelope with my name written in Mom's familiar handwriting. "Leela, you're the only one I trust. Open these when the time is right." And the time, apparently, was now. The second I saw my name on that envelope, my heartbeat stuttered. Mom's handwriting wasn't just handwriting. It was home. It was safety. It was the one place in my entire family where I never had to earn love like it was a paycheck. Dad stepped forward immediately. "Give it here." Naomi held up a hand, ice-cold professional. "Mr. Carson, this envelope is addressed to Leela. Legally, you have no right to it." His jaw clenched. "She doesn't need to read anything right now. We should go through all this together." "No," I said, stepping between him and the safe. "You mocked me for leaving the business. You don't get to tell me what I need anymore." His eyes narrowed. "Don't talk to me like you're in charge." "I'm not," I said, pulling the envelope out. "Mom is..." For a moment, the entire room froze. Dad glared at me like I had stolen something from him, which was ironic, considering what he'd done to me for years. Ryan stood near the door pretending he didn't care, but he kept craning his neck to see what was inside the safe. I opened the envelope with shaky fingers. Inside was a letter and a smaller sealed packet. The letter was 3 pages neatly folded, no creases, no wear. She must have written it before she got sick. I took a breath and started reading silently, but Dad barked, "Read it out loud." "No." I walked to a chair, sat, and read it the way she intended, just for me. "Leela, if you're reading this, then things have happened exactly the way I feared. Your father and brothers will never understand the difference between having something and earning it. But you do. That's why I trust you, more than them, more than anyone." My chest tightened. Mom knew. She always knew. "You were my partner in this business long before anyone realized it. You saw the numbers. You saw the things your brothers ignored. You saw the small cracks forming years before they became dangerous." I felt Dad's eyes burning into me. I tried to fix things quietly, behind the scenes. "Your father was letting Marcus and Ryan make decisions without oversight, dangerous decisions. Dishonest decisions. More money was leaving Carson and Sons than coming in." I froze. I reread that line. Dishonest decisions? I kept records of everything. Every fraudulent invoice, every missing dollar, every fake subcontractor, every expensed trip that wasn't business related. And every employee they underpaid or pretended didn't exist. I glanced up slowly. Dad's face had gone pale. Ryan looked like he'd been slapped. I tried confronting them, but they lied. They blamed the economy. They blamed me. They blamed you. And when I realized they were using you, overworking you, taking credit for your ideas, ignoring your warnings, I knew the company wasn't just failing. It was rotting. I pressed a hand to my mouth. Mom saw everything I thought she missed. "Leela, the sealed packet holds the evidence. Every document, every email, every spreadsheet, every falsified signature, everything that could destroy this family if mishandled. But in the right hands, it could save the company. Or end it." Ryan stumbled back a step. "What is she talking about?" Dad's voice cracked. "She's bluffing." Naomi eyed him sharply. "Is she?" Mom's letter continued. "I know you left the company because you had no choice. I wanted you to leave. I wanted you far away from what your father and brothers were doing. But one day, someone would need the truth, and you're the only one who won't use it for greed." My eyes burned. "You're the only one I trust to do what's right. If you open the packet, understand this. You will hold the entire future of Carson and Sons in your hands. What you choose to do next, it's up to you. I love you, Mom. My hands trembled as I reached for the sealed packet. Dad lunged, but Naomi blocked him with surprising force. Step back, Mr. Carson. Now, he snarled. That packet belongs to the business. No, I said. It belongs to Mom, and she left it to me. I broke the seal. Inside were multiple USB drives, printed spreadsheets, screenshots of emails, account summaries, and a notarized affidavit detailing everything Mom witnessed. I flipped through page after page, horror rising with each line. There were invoices paid to contractors who didn't exist, payroll for employees who never worked for us, personal trips charged to company accounts, luxury vehicles inexplicably written off, money funneled into side accounts, fake signatures including my mom's. It wasn't small mistakes. It was full-blown fraud. Ryan's voice cracked. Dad, what is this? Dad didn't answer. His face had gone gray. Naomi spoke softly but firmly. Layla, this is serious. This is enough to shut down Carson and Sons and open a criminal investigation. Marcus wasn't there, but he didn't have to be. The room felt like fire and ice colliding. Dad looked at me like I'd pulled the pin on a grenade. You have no idea what you're doing, he whispered. I know exactly what I'm doing, I said. Mom trusted me too. You'll destroy us all, he hissed. No, I said, voice steady despite the fear twisting in my chest. You did that. Mom just documented it, Ryan whispered. Layla, please, don't show anyone. But it was too late. Because behind me, Naomi closed the safe and said the words that made Dad stumble backward. We're taking this to the estate lawyer, and then to the board. Dad's face twisted into something dark and desperate. This isn't over, he said. He was right. Because Mom had left me the truth, and now the truth was about to blow my family apart. I walked out of my parents' house clutching the packet like it was radioactive. In a way, it was. It didn't just hold numbers and screenshots. It held the truth my family spent years hiding behind big offices, expensive trucks, and fake smiles. A truth my mom had watched quietly, painfully, and documented because she knew no one else would believe her. And she trusted me with it. Dad followed us onto the porch, face red, voice low and sharp. Leila, you don't understand what you're about to do. I turned around. No, Dad, I don't think you understand what you've already done. You show those papers to anyone, and you're going to destroy this family. Mom didn't destroy this family, I said, stepping backward. You did. His jaw clenched. You think the board will let you waltz in with made-up accusations? You think Ryan and Marcus will stand with you? Mom left it to me for a reason. Dad stared at me with something I hadn't seen before. Fear. Actual fear. You're out of your depth, Lila. No, I said. I've been drowning for years. Now I'm finally standing on something solid. I got in Naomi's car before he could reply. She started the engine and locked the doors immediately. Probably a smart move. As we drove away, Dad stood in the driveway. STARNG, not yelling, not lunging, just staring. A storm waiting for the right moment. Naomi drove me straight to her office. She didn't talk much, which I appreciated. My hands were shaking too hard to hold a normal conversation anyway. Once inside, she locked the door, closed the blinds, and placed the packet on her conference table like it was evidence in a criminal trial. Layla, she said carefully, this is bigger than a family fight. This is corporate malpractice, fraud, potential embezzlement. If what's in these documents checks out, Carson and Sons is about to go through a major investigation. I swallowed. What happens to them? She didn't sugarcoat it. Your father and brothers could lose everything. Jobs, board seats, their reputation. Possibly more. More? I echoed, depending on the extent of the wrongdoing. Yes, the state could get involved. My stomach twisted. I don't want them in prison. Naomi looked at me for a long moment. Lila, your mom didn't document all of this because she wanted to punish them. She did it because she wanted to protect the company and protect you from becoming collateral damage. My eyes burned. Mom knew they'd drag me down with them if they ever collapsed. She saved me before she even knew how this would end. Naomi placed a USB in her computer. Let's go through this. For the next 2 hours, we reviewed everything Mom had compiled. Emails showing Marcus approving ghost contractor. Invoices, Ryan moving funds from payroll into a private account labeled R Operations. Internal memos Mom wrote and never sent, spreadsheets showing money disappearing each quarter. Receipts for luxury vacations labeled as market research, and a note from Mom. If they continue like this, the company won't make it 5 years. At one point I had to get up and walk around because my hands were shaking too much. Naomi finally leaned back. This isn't a small issue. This is corruption. And your mother knew exactly what she was doing. She collected proof no one can ignore. A heavy knot formed in my throat. So what do I do next? Naomi clasped her hands. First, we secure these documents. Second, we contact the estate attorney. Third, we meet with the board. My heart jumped. The board? Yes, and you should be the one to present this. What? No, I can't stand in a room full of executives. You can, she said firmly. You saw the numbers your whole life. You understood the financials better than your brothers did? And your mother trusted you, not them, I inhaled shakily. What if they don't believe me? They'll believe the paper trail, she said. Numbers don't lie. Mom's words, Mom's voice. I nodded. The next morning my phone blew up. Dad, we need to talk. Ryan, tell me you didn't take that packet. Marcus, you have no idea what's in it. Dad, do not show those papers to anyone. I'm warning you. Dad. Lila, pick up your phone. Right now. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I forwarded every message to Naomi. She replied with, Good, keep them coming. They're digging their own hole. At noon, Naomi called the board's chair. A woman named Evelyn Stone, sharp-minded, sharp-tongued, and someone Mom quietly respected. We arranged a confidential meeting. It would take place tomorrow. In the Carson and Sons executive conference room. The same one where my brothers laughed at me when I quit. The same one where Dad dismissed me like I was holding a juice box instead of a business degree. I didn't sleep that night. Part fear, part adrenaline, part grief. I missed my mom so badly my chest hurt. What would she say if she saw all of this unfolding? Would she hug me? Tell me I was doing the right thing? Probably both. Morning arrived too fast. I dressed in the only blazer I still owned, tied my hair back, and drove with Naomi to the Carson and Sons building. As we stepped out of the elevator, silence fell over the floor. Employees whispered. My brothers stood outside the conference room looking panicked. Dad paced like a caged animal. Ryan grabbed my arm. Leila, you can't do this. I pulled away. Watch me, Marcus whispered. If you show those files, the company won't survive. I met his eyes. Mom wanted the truth to survive. The truth matters more than your comfort. Dad stepped forward, face pale. Leila, please don't go in there. Naomi opened the conference room door. Evelyn Stone sat at the head of the long table. Miss Carson, she said calmly, we've been expecting you. Dad reached for my wrist. But Naomi slid between us. Don't. I stepped into the room. For the first time in my life, they were locked out. And I was the one holding the future of Carson and Sons. The conference room felt colder than I remembered. Maybe it was the gray walls. Maybe it was the glass table that reflected every anxious twitch of my hands. Or maybe it was the weight of everything sitting inside my bag, the evidence Mom left me. The truth that could burn Carson and Sons to the ground. Evelyn Stone, the board chair, watched me with sharp eyes, the kind that saw straight through excuses and fluff. Miss Carson, she said, before we begin, I want you to know something. I swallowed. What's that? Your mother was the smartest person in this company. If she trusted you with something, I take that seriously. My chest tightened. Mom had always said Evelyn was the only board member worth respecting. Hearing her say that meant more than I expected. Naomi took a seat beside me. We appreciate you calling this meeting on such short notice. Evelyn nodded. Given the concerns you mentioned, it was necessary. Now, where are the others? Right on cue, the door burst open. Dad, Ryan, Marcus. They walked in like a storm. Ryan looked anxious, Marcus looked hungover, and Dad looked like he was trying to hide a detonation under his skin. Evelyn, Dad said, forcing a smile. We didn't schedule a board meeting today. No, she said coolly. I did. Dad's jaw twitched. On what grounds? On the grounds that your daughter presented information that concerns corporate integrity, Evelyn folded her hands. You were informed of the meeting time. Please take a seat. Dad hesitated 1 second too long. Marcus muttered, just sit down, Dad. They took their seats across from me. I tried not to stare at them, but it felt like facing 3 versions of the same lot, one angry, one careless, one scared stiff. Evelyn turned to me. Leela, you requested this meeting. The floor is yours. My stomach flipped, my pulse hammered. I reached slowly into my bag and pulled out the envelope and the packet. Dad's eyes widened. Layla, don't. I ignored him. I set the packet on the table. The entire room shifted. Even the air seemed to hold still. This, I said, is what my mother left behind. Evidence of financial misconduct inside Carson & Sons. Ryan stiffened. Marcus looked down. Dad sat back, gripping the arm of his chair. Evelyn leaned forward. Show us. Naomi nodded at me, signaling that this was the moment. I opened the packet, spread out the spreadsheets. The printouts, the emails, the photocopies. Page after page of numbers that told a story more honest than any of their speeches. I'm starting with this. I handed the first document to Evelyn. It's a spreadsheet Mom made before she died. It outlines financial discrepancies dating back 6 years. Evelyn studied the sheet, eyebrows raising inch by inch. These numbers don't match filed documents. They match internal ones, Naomi said. The real ones. I passed more evidence down the table. Emails between Marcus and a shell contractor. Approval forms Ryan signed for unauthorized transfers. Receipts from trips labeled as market research but clearly vacations. And then the big one. A handwritten note from Mom. If these patterns continue, the company will be insolvent in under 5 years. Evelyn's face tightened. This is alarming. Dad slammed his palm on the table. This is nonsense. Karen was sick when she wrote half of this. She wasn't thinking clearly. No, I said firmly. She made these records before she got sick. She knew exactly what she was seeing. Ryan's voice shook. Leela, you don't get it. The company was under pressure. We had to adjust some numbers. Adjust? I scoffed. You're calling fraud adjustments? Marcus leaned forward, eyes red. You're being dramatic. We're not criminals. Then explain the fake contractors. I shot back. The personal vacations charged to the business. The money pulled from payroll. He didn't answer. Evelyn's voice cut through sharply. Enough! Everyone fell silent. She looked at my father. Thomas, did you know about these irregularities? Dad wet his lips. I trusted my sons to handle things. They told me everything was fine. So you're saying you weren't aware? She pressed. Dad hesitated, then nodded too quickly. Yes, exactly. He was lying. I could see it in the tremble of his hand. Evelyn turned to me. Leela, do you have anything else? I nodded. Yes. Mom left a sworn affidavit. I handed her the document. Evelyn read it slowly, lips tightening. Dad's voice shook. Evelyn, come on. Karen was paranoid at the end. This was dated 18 months before she passed, she interrupted. Dad went pale. Evelyn set the affidavit down. I will not take this lightly. We need a forensic audit immediately. Dad bolted to his feet. You can't tear apart my company over this. It's not your company, Evelyn said coldly. It belongs to the board. And we will protect it. Ryan stood too, panicked. Layla, please, if the auditors see everything, they'll see the truth, I said. That's the point. Marcus whispered, this will ruin us. Evelyn stood. Leela, Naomi, step outside for a few minutes. The board needs to discuss next steps. I gathered my papers. Naomi guided me toward the door. I didn't look back at my family, but I heard Dad's voice. Lila, don't do this. I paused, turned slightly, and said the words Mom would have said. I'm not doing anything. I'm letting the numbers talk. Then I stepped out. The door clicked shut behind us. A wall between their lies. And the truth Mom trusted me to carry. The hallway outside the conference room felt like a pressure chamber. Quiet, still, heavy. Naomi and I stood there side by side, listening to the muffled chaos happening behind the glass, the board arguing. My father raising his voice, Marcus pacing, Ryan trying to spin whatever lies he had left. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel victorious. I felt sad and angry and scared and relieved. All at the same time, Naomi squeezed my shoulder. Whatever decision they make, Lila, you did the right thing. I nodded, even though my stomach was twisting into knots. Mom did the hard part. I'm just following through. Naomi smiled softly. Most people never follow through. You're stronger than you think. The door finally opened. Evelyn stepped out first, her expression unreadable. My heart stopped. Dad, Marcus, and Ryan were behind her, but they kept their distance. That alone told me everything I needed to know. Leela, Evelyn said, the board has reached a unanimous decision. Dad flinched at the word unanimous. Evelyn continued, effective immediately. Carson and Sons will undergo a full forensic audit conducted by an independent firm. Ryan muttered a curse under his breath. And, Evelyn said sharply, pending the results of the audit, your father, Marcus, and Ryan are temporarily removed from all financial and executive control. Dad stumbled. You're ousting us? Based on her? Based on the evidence, Evelyn replied. Marcus shouted, this is ridiculous. We built this company. No, I said calmly. Grandpa built it. Mom saved it. And you almost destroyed it. Evelyn turned to me. Leela, your mother's documentation is the only reason Carson and Sons still has a chance. She protected the company from collapse. And you protected her legacy. A lump formed in my throat. So, what happens now? That depends on you, Evelyn said. The board reviewed your mother's affidavit. She requested, formally, that in the event of a financial crisis caused by misconduct, you be considered for a temporary leadership role. My breath caught. Leadership role? Yes, interim chief financial officer. Dad exploded. Absolutely not. She's a kid. She freelances from coffee shops. She doesn't know how to run a corporation. Evelyn raised a brow. And yet she caught problems you never noticed. Or chose not to, Naomi whispered. Breathe, Lila. I tried. It didn't help. Evelyn continued. You don't have to accept the position. We'll assign someone else if you prefer. But your mother believed you were capable. And so do I. I looked down at the envelope in my hands. Mom's handwriting, Mom's trust. Mom's faith in me long before I believed in myself. I'll accept, I said quietly. Dad staggered like I'd punched him. Lila, don't do this. Don't turn against your own family. I met his eyes. I'm not turning against my family. I'm turning toward the truth. Marcus rounded on me next. If you take this job, you're ending us. No, I said, stepping back. I'm ending the part where you hide what you did. The company deserves honesty. Mom deserved honesty. Ryan looked at me with the kind of fear I used to feel around Dad. Leela, please, we'll fix it. Just don't bring the auditors into it. The auditors are already coming, Evelyn said coldly. And Lila will be working with them. Marcus let out a humorless laugh. A bookkeeper. That's who you're trusting. Naomi stepped forward. She's not a bookkeeper. She's the only one in this room who didn't commit fraud. The room fell silent. Evelyn nodded. Thomas, Marcus, Ryan's security will escort you to gather your things. Dad lunged toward me, but security was faster. 2 guards stepped in front of me instantly. Dad's voice cracked. Leila, you don't know what you're doing. I swallowed hard. I know exactly what I'm doing. Security led them out one by one. Ryan angry and terrified. Marcus muttering curses under his breath. Dad still yelling about betrayal, even as the elevator doors closed on him. The moment they were gone, Evelyn exhaled. You should prepare for backlash. They won't go quietly. I know. Do you want protection? She asked gently. I blinked. What? Your father is volatile. We can station someone outside your home if necessary. My chest tightened at the offer because it was real. This wasn't a family argument anymore. This was a corporate battle with real consequences. I'll think about it, I said. Evelyn nodded, then placed a hand on my shoulder. Your mother would be proud. That sentence was my breaking point. I swallowed tears and nodded. Later that day, Naomi and I sat alone in our office. The city buzzed outside, cars honking, people weaving down sidewalks. Life moved on, even though my world had shifted entirely. You did it, Naomi said softly. I feel like I'm going to pass out, I admitted. That means you're human. I looked down at the packet. Do you think Mom knew I'd end up here? I think, Naomi said gently, your mother knew the truth would come out sooner or later. She just wanted to make sure you were protected when it did. I wiped my eyes. I miss her, I know. We sat there in silence, not empty silence. Full silence. Finally I stood. Naomi, thank you for everything, she smiled. The work isn't done yet. But you're ready. I wasn't sure if she was right. But I was going to try because Mom believed in me. Because the company deserved honesty. Because I wasn't the weak one they were. As I left the office, my phone buzzed again. A new message, not from Dad, not from Marcus. Not from Ryan, from Evelyn. Welcome to leadership, Lila. Let's rebuild what they tried to destroy. I stared at the message and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Mom trusted me. And now, I was finally becoming the woman she always believed I could be.